Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
Triple H was one of WWE's top stars when he held the World Heavyweight Championship on Raw in 2004. In a recent video, Maven Huffman recalled how a match with the Game might have contributed to his exit from the company. On November 15, 2004, Maven performed as the Raw General Manager for one night. The inaugural Tough Enough winner appeared in a backstage segment with Triple H before unsuccessfully challenging him for the World Heavyweight Championship. The latest video on Maven's YouTube channel revolved around his on-screen authority role. Reflecting on his bout with Triple H, the three-time Hardcore Champion admitted his performance likely contributed to WWE releasing him several months later. "Did I do everything he said?" Maven stated. "Absolutely. Did we pull off a match that the fans believed? Yes, we did. But I did just enough, to show him, Vince, former WWE Chairman Vince McMahon, and upper management that I wasn't ready. I had no clue, no idea that the match I had with Hunter, Triple H, probably started my downward spiral, which would ultimately lead to my exiting the company." 27:01, 27:32. WWE released Maven on July 5, 2005. The 48-year-old is best remembered for his Tough Enough victory in 2002 feud with The Undertaker. Maven analyzes his match with Triple H. Although Maven had been in WWE for 3 years, he allowed the King of Kings to dictate almost everything that happened in their match. The former WWE star watched the 12-minute bout back and acknowledged he was not good enough at that stage of his career to headline events. "He shouldn't have had to call the entire match move for move," Maven said. "That's just proof that I wasn't ready to be in the position that I was in. So, it comes to no surprise that this would be the last time I would be in the main event. I wasn't ready." 22:07 to 22:25. Maven's last WWE match aired on the June 26, 2005, episode of Sunday Night Heat. He joined forces with Antonio and Romeo in a loss against the Hurricane, Rosie, and Val Venis. The wrestling world was rocked when a veteran three-time champion, who preferred to remain unnamed, opened up about the painful series of events that ultimately led to his release from WWE. According to the former superstar, it all started with a high-stakes match involving Triple H, a match that, in his words, spiraled his career into a relentless downturn. This champion, who rose to prominence in the mid-2000s, spent years as a pillar of WWE's upper mid-card, holding the Intercontinental Championship, the United States Championship, and eventually the World Heavyweight Championship. He was known for his technical prowess and his undeniable presence in the ring. However, as he began to speak out, the cracks in the facade of his WWE career began to show, starting with the fateful match against Triple H. The beginning of the end. The match itself was a dream scenario for any wrestler. A main event spot on a major pay-per-view, facing none other than the Game himself, Triple H. At the time, the former champion was riding a wave of momentum, with a solid fan following and critical acclaim for his performances. However, what was supposed to be a defining moment in his career quickly became the starting point of a downward spiral that would change his life. "Triple H was always someone I looked up to," he began, leaning back as he reflected on the event. "I had watched him for years, and I thought, if I can hang with him, if I can show I belong, it could elevate me. But what happened that night, it broke me." The match, which took place at one of WWE's biggest events, was physically demanding, filled with high-risk spots, and crafted to be an intense, grueling affair. But it was during the match that the former champion felt an unusual pressure, not just from the audience or the story, but from Triple H himself. "I knew I had to prove myself," he continued, "but something about the way Triple H handled me that night didn't sit right. He didn't let me breathe. Every time I tried to step up, he'd step in. I had my moments, sure, but it was like he wasn't giving me the space to shine." At first, the champion chalked it up to nerves or the unpredictability of a high-profile match. But soon, it became clear that Triple H's methods were more deliberate. "It wasn't about making me look good. It was about improving a point, about showing that the top spot was reserved for him, the former champion revealed, his voice tinged with frustration. It was like he was saying, "This is where you stay, and this is where I am. Don't think you're coming for my spot." The fallout. After the match, the aftermath took a toll on the former champion's mental health. "I was broken," he admitted. "Not physically, but mentally. I was in the ring with one of the best, but I felt like I had been buried alive. I didn't know how to shake it off." The following weeks were filled with uncertainty. The champion tried to bounce back, desperate to prove he wasn't just another mid-carder. But the audience reaction, the backstage politics, and the psychological impact of his interaction with Triple H began to weigh heavily on him. "I felt like I was stuck in a cycle," he explained. "I would have a good match here and there, but it was like I was never given the chance to break through. I was stuck in the shadow of someone else's story. Triple H had his plan, and no matter how hard I tried, it never felt like I was part of it." Behind the scenes, things only worsened. The former champion mentioned that despite his talent and experience, he began to be overlooked for bigger opportunities. "I started to get lost in the shuffle. I was being used for filler matches, with no real direction. The creative team was out of ideas, and I was just a name on the card." It wasn't just the lack of opportunities that troubled him. He became increasingly disillusioned with the backstage environment, where politics played a larger role in who succeeded and who fell behind. "The locker room felt like a pressure cooker," he said. "Everyone was talking about their positions, who they were aligned with, and who was in favor with the higher-ups. I tried to keep my head down, but I couldn't ignore it. I didn't have the right people backing me. I didn't have the right relationships." The breaking point. Months after his disappointing performance in the match with Triple H, the former champion began to sense that his days in WWE were numbered. The feeling that he wasn't a priority, combined with his dissatisfaction with how things were unfolding backstage, made it clear that he was becoming expendable. "I could feel the writing on the wall," he admitted. "I had tried to get back into the groove, but it wasn't happening. I wasn't getting the push I deserved. The matches were becoming less about me and more about what WWE needed to push. I was a stepping stone." The tipping point came when the champion was informed that he was going to be released from WWE. The news didn't come as a shock, but it stung nonetheless. "I had known for a while it was coming," he said. "When they told me, I wasn't angry, I was just resigned. I had given everything I had, and they had made it clear that it wasn't enough. I was a casualty of their business." Moving forward. Now, years after the release, the former champion is focusing on rebuilding his career and finding his purpose outside of WWE. He's taken on roles in independent promotions and even ventured into coaching. But despite the time that has passed, he still reflects on that match with Triple H as the pivotal turning point in his career. "People look at Triple H as a legend, and I still respect him for what he's done in the business. But that match, it was a trap for me," he explained. "I wasn't ready for the politics, the way the business was working at the time. I thought I could make it on my own, but I learned the hard way that this is a world that rewards loyalty to the right people, not just talent." Though his time in WWE was brief and marred by the bitterness of unfulfilled potential, the former champion has taken his lessons and turned them into strength. "That match broke me, but it also rebuilt me," he said with a small smile. "It made me realize that success isn't just about being in the right place at the right time. It's about knowing your worth and finding a way to prove it, even if the biggest stage doesn't want you." As he continues to carve his path in the world of professional wrestling, the former three-time champion remains a testament to resilience. His story is a reminder that not every career in WWE is defined by championships and title reigns. Sometimes, it's the struggles, the missed opportunities, and the lessons learned the hard way that shape a wrestler's legacy. Triple H's match was the beginning of the end in WWE, he concluded. But it was also the beginning of everything else.